ask you a few questions. What do you say to that single pregnant woman who might have AIDS, no income? She needs Daraprim in order to survive. What do you say to her when she has to make that choice? What do you say to her?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
You were quoted as saying on Fox 5 in New York, you were quoted as saying, if you raise prices and you don't take that cash and put it back into research, I think it's despicable. I think you should not be in the drug business. You take all of our cash, all of our extra profit, and spend it on research for these patients, for other patients who have terrible life-threatening, life-ending diseases. Did you say that?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Do you think you've done anything wrong?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
I'd like to yield time to Congressman Gowdy of South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it pronounced Shkreli?
Yes, sir.
See, there you can answer some questions. That one didn't incriminate you. I just want to make sure you understand you are welcome to answer questions, and not all of your answers are going to subject you to incrimination. You understand that, don't you?
I intend to follow the advice of my counsel, not yours.
I just want to make sure you're getting the right advice. You do know that not every disclosure can be subject to the Fifth Amendment assertion. Only those that are that you reasonably believe could be used in a criminal prosecution or could lead to other evidence.
I intend to use the advice of my counsel, not yours.
You also understand that you can waive your Fifth Amendment right. You gave an interview to a television station in New York where, if I understood you correctly, you couldn't wait to come educate the members of Congress on drug pricing, and this would be a great opportunity to do it. So do you understand you can waive your Fifth Amendment right?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm vexed. He's been willing to answer at least one question this morning. That one didn't subject him to incrimination. I don't think he's under indictment for the subject matter of this hearing. So the Fifth Amendment actually doesn't apply to answers that are not reasonably calculated to expose you to incrimination. And even if it did apply, he's welcome to waive it. And I listened to his interview, and he didn't have to be prodded to talk during that interview. It doesn't have to be prodded to tweet a whole lot or to show us his life on that little webcam he's got. So this is a great opportunity if you want to educate the members of Congress about drug pricing or what you call the fictitious case against you, or we can even talk about the purchase of is it Wu-Tang Clan? Is that the name of the album? Name of the group?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Mr. Chairman, I am stunned that a conversation about an album he purchased could possibly subject him to incrimination. But
the gentleman is correct. I understand that Mr. Shkreli is under indictment, but it is not the intention to ask him questions about that topic.
So if I understand you correctly, we're not going to ask him questions that are going to be in the subject matter of his criminal charges. And if we were to get close to one or in the gray area, he's welcome to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege there. And if we stay away from the subject matter of his indictment, he is, some could argue, has a legal obligation to answer under Casgar versus United States, but certainly has the right to do so, as he did in the television interview and as he does quite frequently on social media.
Correct. Trying to.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized for a moment?
No, No, you will not. No, you're not allowed to. Under the House rules, you have not been sworn in. No, Miss, you are not recognized. You are not recognized, and you will be seated. The gentleman from South Carolina is correct. We are trying to provide an opportunity to have a candid discussion about issues related to drug pricing. We now recognize Mr. Cummings for any questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, let me say for the record that I completely support your decision to bring Spirelli to make sure that he asserted his Fifth Amendment right before this committee. Normally, Democrats on our committee have accepted the assertion of a witness's attorney that the client is going to take the fifth. But in this case, Spirelli made a number of public comments himself, raising legitimate questions about his intentions. Honestly, I did not know whether he was even going to show up today. So it's nice to see you. But now that he has invoked his constitutional rights, of course I will respect his decision. To Mr. Spirelli, since I have you in front of me, after trying to get you in front of this committee for so long, let me say this. I want to ask you I want to plead with you to use any remaining influence you have over your former company to press them to lower the price of these drugs. Okay, pause the video, babe. You can look away if you like, but I wish you could see the faces of people, no matter what Ms.
Further evidence to prove that all that I've been saying about Big Pharma. You know, Michael at Oregon Sweetleaf Revival Cannabis Garden Club. If you didn't see it, just go back and replay the video, okay? This is evidence to prove to the rest of the world that's out there that Big Pharma, pharmaceuticals, large pharmaceutical corporations, like this asshat right here, Mr. Spirelli, you know, if he was all about research and blah, 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 wanted to help everybody with his money and charge exuberant prices for AIDS medicine, under the Fifth Amendment, he pleads to not answer a question in regards to whether he would help out a impoverished woman pregnant with AIDS. You know, now there are people like that in this predicament in this country that are going to go tonight without any treatment or help and are going to be suffering because of people like Mr. Martin Spirelli. Now, I want you to take notice that Representative Cummings got on his hands and knees literally and said, well, hell, man, I'm just grateful we were able to get him here. And, you know, please, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you to change your mind. This goes to prove to you that even the House of Law, the Congress, and all of their representatives are on their knees to big corporations like this asshat's here, Mr. Spirelli, his pharmaceutical company. They're on their knees to people like that. The lawmakers themselves are on their knees. This goes to prove. Mr. Cummings pleaded with the guy. All right, everyone's has the right to invoke the Fifth Amendment. I get that, man. But when you sit there and smirk and smug away all your greedy little fucking ass, let me tell you something, Mr. Spirelli. You're not gonna fucking take your money with you, okay? And you will answer to natural law. I guarantee that, okay? And you know, it's really sad. It's a sad day in history when we could sit and watch our coveted House of Law, our Congress, and our representatives, the people that we pay good dollars to go and represent our nation's laws and rules and Constitution, to sit there and piss all over themselves because they can't do anything. Big Pharma is in there making the rules and calling the shots. And like I say, folks, it starts with one free plant. You free that plant, and the rest will follow. And a lot of folks will go, well, what's that have to do with anything? Well, I think it has a lot to do with a lot of things because, as you can see, your other answer is people like Mr. Spirelli There's your other answer. So you can either serve yourself or you can serve people like him. And you can pay weak politicians like Mr. Cummins, who gets on his hands and knees and begs and pleads instead of making the laws the way they should be to protect the people instead of the corporation. Once again, man, we need to get back to the science of how we're going to do this, because this isn't the way to go. Have a good night.
And as always with Oregon Sweet Leaf Revival, sharing is always caring. Even if it is piece of shit pharmaceutical companies like, how
Like
do you
Martin
say, it's
Shkreli's.
Martin Shrek. Let's
Martin
call him
Shkreli.
Shrek. Look at him.
Yeah, Shrek.
Ugly motherfucker.